Hi there, I'm Simon St. Laurent, Senior Editor at O'Reilly Media. I'm here today with Tim Berglund of GitHub.
Hi, Simon.
Tim's been doing a workshop, he's got sessions, he's bringing us the story of Git and GitHub.
Yes.
Why don't you give us a sort of a sense of what kind of stories you're telling to the audience here?
Great question. So the workshop on Monday was really an introductory thing. So we had kind of some intermediate users who didn't really feel comfortable, a lot of people who were brand new, and the message is straight up instruction. Here's how to do these things, and what I want people to go away with is be comfortable. Don't worry, don't be afraid. You're not going to lose things. It's not a mystery. It's a machine. You can do this.
Yeah, I was at a conference that was actually for web designers recently, and one of the sessions was GitHub for designers, and these are folks who are not always excited, but
right, and there are other issues that come up there too. Had a session just this morning before we sat down together on GitHub itself and kind of tools of that user interface, how to collaborate through issues and do project sites and use pull requests a little bit more deeply. So that was pretty good. Session later on today on discrete math, computer sciencey topic.
Okay.
It's kind of fun, yeah.
Good. You're stepping away from the Git for a moment.
Just a little bit,
That's good.
GitHubbers strive to be just broadly interested in things.
Good. Well, you came to Git a few years ago. Can you kind of tell the story of, arriving in this style of version management and then going further with GitHub?
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to say Git itself came on my radar around 2007. So it was already 2 years old and already being adopted sort of by the cool kids. And with respect to that community, I was really a latecomer. But started using it, internal, personal project sites and things like that, and getting value out of it. And then eventually started transitioning clients to it, and getting on board as a GitHub user.
Right.
Around I think 4 years ago. I wasn't in that first year, but been at it for a while.
So and now you're focused on training.
That's right.
And you've even done something with O'Reilly?
Yes, a few things with O'Reilly. So we've been in the studio, it was about a year and a half ago and 2.5 years ago, me and my colleague Matthew McCullough recording like a 6 and a 5 hour training course on the foundations of Git and advanced Git. So great stuff, and at GitHub my role is as a part of the training team. So we produce our own video resources, our own online things, we do online classes, we fly to customer sites and spend a lot of time on the road at conferences and teaching people how to use Git, how to use GitHub.
Okay. Well, at this conference, one of the big GitHub-related questions, it came up in the keynotes this morning, is the question of licenses on GitHub repositories, the code there or the lack thereof. I think my one public GitHub repo has a BSD license on it, so I've done it. I'm good. But how does this relationship between GitHub and licenses and open source play out for you? Yeah.
Well, such an interesting thing, and it's something we've kind of been investing in now and creating features, and a new site called ChooseAlicense.com, which has like really minimal GitHub branding at the bottom. It says, hey, GitHub made this, but it doesn't have octocats on it. It's just a license picker.
Right.
Here are some common licenses. Here are some more things you can do. And on GitHub.com itself, if you don't have a license, we'll give you an opportunity to create one, just with a file called license.markdown or license.txt.
Right.
It's important, and I'm kind of thinking just as a user of GitHub, and not really speaking as a representative of GitHub, but you think about it, this is important. If I've got code that's on GitHub.com as a public repo, what am I saying? I'm saying, by agreeing to the GitHub Terms of Service, I'm saying, GitHub, you may host this.
Right.
You may serve this to people. World, I would like you to read this. World, I give you permission to fork it. That's legal agreement I've made there. If I don't specify a license, then what people may do with those forks is unclear. So I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth if I have a repo with no license. I'm saying, hey, here it is, take it, fork it.
Maybe.
Modify it? It might be illegal, I don't know. So it's kind of good citizenship for me, just kind of a way to love all my GitHub neighbors, to be explicit. Here's the license, here are the rights I reserve, here are the rights I give to you, so everybody knows what's going on.
Right. Well, Git and GitHub really come out of open source broadly. I guess, how do you see kind of the future interactions? Obviously, open source is a big user of GitHub.
Yes.
And GitHub sort of thrives on the openness and the sharing there.
Yeah.
But how do these dynamics keep going?
Yeah, clearly they complement each other, right? I mean, open source was a thing before GitHub. Let's be clear about that.
Yes.
And it would be a thing if there had never been a GitHub. But it's hard to imagine how GitHub could have its success without there being an open source community. And it's certainly the case that GitHub is a driver of open source contributions and is a key enabler.
Right.
So the way I see that, and again, this is just kind of my take on things here. I see it as kind of reducing transaction costs for open source contributions. If you think of this in economic terms, now there's one place I know to go. So I guess discovery is a little easier. That would be, I guess by analogy, cost of access to market is reduced. It's easier for me as an open source author to get discovered and to solicit contributions because this is one essentially free, non-monetary marketplace of open source collaboration.
Right.
So there's that, and the cost of submitting a contribution used to be kind of a pain.
Yes.
I mean, emailing a patch or getting to be a contributor, you had to know people, develop an expensive human relationship, and meet at conferences and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And now through forking and pull requesting, that allows, those human relationships are still important in open source at some level, but a casual contributor can fork and PR at a much lower transaction cost and get that thing to happen. And so I'd like there to be some quantitative research into this someday. I mean, GitHub's out there, there's an API, somebody can take that ball and run with it. Anecdotally, certainly I've talked to people as they have migrated big open source projects to GitHub, it absolutely increases the amount of contributions they get.
Yeah.
So that I think my economic model is onto something. It'd be cool to test it sometime.
Yeah, it seems like GitHub is just generally an accelerant. It makes things go, It makes things move more smoothly.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, we hope to see you again at OSCON, and good luck with making these things move smoothly.
Thank you. Hope to be here next year. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.